Well, what movie would best describe the local real estate market over the last 10 years? The pessimist might say 1998's Bruce Willis movie Armageddon because of the devastation of property values. The optimist might think the animated movie Up because they think the real estate market is looking up. Maybe the realist chooses one of the Rocky movies because despite the pounding, we're still on our feet. Well, to give us an opinion on what he thinks is the best movie to fit our market, our real estate expert Denny Grimes is in with us this morning. You've picked an interesting choice.
Yeah, it's the summer movie season. A lot of good movies out. In fact, there'd be a long list of movies one could pick. And as crazy as the market's been, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest would probably get some votes.
It has been a crazy, wild ride. But I'm intrigued by your choice because it's better than it sounds when you tell me the title.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Titanic. And not for the obvious reasons. Everybody knows the ship sank, okay?
Right.
And old Yeller died. But it's not for the disaster, but for what's really going on right now. So let me describe the last 3 years in 3 different markets as seen through the director's eyes of the Titanic. And I have a slide here. First of all, it was a party market from 04 to 06. So there's not a lot of commentary that needs to be given here. Everybody knows it was unrealistic, unsustainable. It was a lot of good times, and of course, the iceberg was looming.
Everybody felt rich.
That's right.
In 2004 to 2006.
Right. And then in 2008 to 2010, I call it the panic market, and that's when sellers finally realized that there was more than just a bump in the road, and that bump they felt was really going to sink the ship, and so they have to get off because the sellers feel if they don't get off now, it's going to cost them more to sell later. So there's a panic, a rush to the market to get their properties on. Now, the interesting thing about that is there was a delay. It took a couple of years for sellers to come to that realization. Secondly, when sellers did, that mass of properties hitting the market worked against the sellers because it increased inventory and drove prices down further.
Made it even worse.
It made it worse.
And you say now we're in what you call the pause market.
The pause market. The pause market is because right now the panic mode is over. Sellers are in the lifeboats, the ones that survived. Now they're not comfortable. They're cold and wet, and they want to go and get all in a safe environment. But the panic is just a memory. So what they feel is the market may be improving. So they're giving pause to making any kind of movement right now. So more and more people, more and more sellers that I meet with right now, the prices aren't what they think they want. But instead of being panicked and saying if I don't sell now I'll get less in the future, they're saying I will wait because I think I'll do better in the future.
Your advice to some of those is now's not a good time to sit on the sidelines.
Not everyone in a lifeboat is going to be a survivor of this because there's going to be still some downward pressure on the upper oversupplied price ranges. And what's interesting is in the last week I've met with folks that have their properties vacant and they don't want to have anyone move into it. They're going to wait for the market to improve. That's not going to help them because the cost of carry is not going to outpace the cost of appreciation or the rise of appreciation. So if you're going to wait the market out, I would recommend that you either rent it or refinance.
That's good advice. Get it done. Thanks, Denny. We'll be
Yeah.
right back.